Greetings, Nicholas Sweetwater here, and today I'm joined by Misha from the band Periphery, a man described by many as a djent pioneer, and I agree with them wholeheartedly. He's here in front of NAMM to show us not just one, not just two, but three new Jackson signature models with his name on them. Two, you could argue, are the usual suspects, the Juggernauts djent machines, but the third one, which he's got in his hands right now, I'm really excited to learn about, the PT2. Tell us about that, my friend, the SoCal 2PT. That's not a Misha guitar on paper, allegedly.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, like, I don't know. I've been on a Strat kick lately. I got some, Fender custom shops and like some other more boutique-y stuff. And I just love a good Strat. I mean, everyone loves a good Strat. Yeah. And I thought it would be kind of cool to do a sleeper Strat. So this does not look like my kind of guitar, but it sounds and plays 100% like my kind of guitar. And it's sort of trying to straddle that line kind of elegantly between, my quote-unquote djent machine and also something that can be versatile enough for Periphery, which it has to be, but also something that could do sort of traditional Strat stuff, but, with modern appointments, let's say.
Yeah, because I noticed you haven't gone for a lot of people in your position might go locking like a Floyd or similar. You've gone Graphtec nut and a go-to 2-point tremolo system. So it looks very vintage. It looks very retro.
Well, I'm not the hugest fan of Floyd's and like how they sound.
Right.
I think this Godot bridge sounds phenomenal, and I think a big part of the Strat sound is the bridge. So you need this sort of floating bridge, which I don't generally tend to do, but I made an exception for this because I wanted to sort of, as I said, like exist in these two worlds. But, at the same time, it's got a 20-inch radius. Exactly. It's like super flat fretboard. It's got jumbo stainless steel frets. It's got a roasted maple neck and fretboard. It's got locking Godot tuners.
Nice.
It's got the truss rod adjustment at the base of the neck. And it's got a bare knuckle Ragnarok as the humbucker position, which is a fairly aggressive pickup.
Fairly?
So, yeah, right? It's about as aggressive as they get. Yeah, though, actually, funny enough, that was the design goal with Tim at Bare Knuckle. And then we found out that it actually works quite well on cleans and split sounds. So that's why it works very well in this guitar, because you can kind of have it all. Like in the full bridge pickup position on heavy tones, it is full on. You'd never really imagine that the guitar looks like this. Probably imagine it looks a fair bit more pointy, but you could still get those second position and fourth position Strat tones. And we've got Bare Knuckle Trilogy Suite neck and middle, which I think pair very well with the.
Yeah, I got a sneak preview, and yeah, it's a surprising on paper. It looks like it's a mismatch, but it works. You're right.
Yeah, it works tonally, output wise, and it just allows you to get those. I'm a big fan of the second and fourth position on Strats.
Sure.
And also having the single coil neck, which is a big reason why. Again, kind of. This is my first signature guitar that doesn't have 24 frets.
Right.
But I'm a big fan of the way the neck pickup sounds on a 22 fret guitar.
Right.
I mean, maybe
proximity is vital, right?
Right. You're under that sort of harmonic node there,
right.
And on a 24 fret guitar, it gets pushed. You don't get sort of as fat single coil sound. And I was trying to have it all with this. And I think this was one of those wish list guitars. And I have to say, Jackson really did a great job putting this together. And this is being made in Japan as well. So this is a Japanese model. And I was blown away with the fit and finish on this guitar. I mean, they don't mess around over there. So this is just a phenomenal instrument through and through. And yeah, like it's kind of like when you first look at it, it just looks like a Strat. And as you get into it deeper and deeper, you're like, wow, this is really sort of a bit of everything.
Yeah, no, I can see, I'm not being facetious or tongue-in-cheek here. I could see a country guy using that guitar to great effect.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, and that's kind of the goal, is like it can go into the metal realm, but I think that I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a style of music where you wouldn't be able to get a sound that you could use out of this.
Yeah, and I think they'll be pleasantly surprised by the jumbo frets and the 20-inch radius, which makes it a speed neck. It really does.
Yeah, the 20-inch radius is one of those things that a lot of people ask me why I do it, and it's because I had these Alan Holdsworth signature guitars back in the day, and kind of once you experience a 20-inch radius fretboard, you're like, or at least for me, I was like, that's got to be on everything from now on. So
And also
Yeah.
now as you've revealed your Holdsworthian influence, the guitar also makes a lot more sense as well. Because one of my favorite periods of his was when he was playing like the Red Charvel.
Right. I mean, I'd say it's a little. I mean, I think he had 2 humbuckers on that
Right,
one.
yeah.
I don't think he was doing HSS, but that was definitely a little bit of an influence. Maybe not one that everyone would get, but I'm a big Holdsworth nerd, and I believe just like with that guitar, this has a basswood body. I believe he was using a basswood body on that Charvel as well.
That wouldn't surprise
If memory
me.
serves.
Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, and basswood has long been your go-to body wood because it's lightweight,
Yeah.
it's resonant, right? It also has a nice.
It's consistent. It's
Yeah.
very consistent, and a lot of people don't understand. Like when it comes to sourcing, when you're doing a signature guitar at scale, you have to consider some things. So yes, you might get a good piece of mahogany, a good piece of alder, but I'm also looking at how consistent these woods are from batch to batch, and I've found that basswood actually gives me the most consistently good attack and mid-range. I don't need to sweat like, oh, this one might be a little bit heavier or lighter or whatever.
Right.
And I love the way it sounds tonally. A lot of people think like it's a cost-cutting measure, which is kind of funny because we've tried every wood. We tried exotic things like okume and things like that, And ultimately, the basswood one is the one I chose because that's the way it sounded the way I wanted it to. And all of my heroes used basswood in their guitars, so that probably informed why I think it sounds good. And yes, it's not a very pretty wood, but we're going to be putting a nice finish and a poly coat over it anyways, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and that finish, I believe, Daphne Blue.
Yep, Daphne Blue. Blue is my favorite color. Daphne Blue is one of my favorite blues, so that's what we had to do. And if the model does well, I hope that we can introduce some more colors, maybe go wild and do like a shell pink or something like that. But for now... you can get it in any color you want, so long as it's blue.
Daphne Blue with the white. Yeah, but it really like the cream color on the bare knuckles really sets. It looks very classy. It looks a classy instrument.
That's something that came from Tim. I would have probably gone for white, but this is where other people are just wiser with these things. And I realized I don't know why it is, but like if I'd gone for white pickups, I feel like it would have looked a little bit cheaper.
Yeah,
there's something kind of classy about these like cream ones with the white pick guard. I agree.
I think it would lose something. It emphasizes. It subtly says you're single. Hum single without being black.
Without being black or a different color. Yeah, I actually spent a lot of time debating over what color the pickup should be, but in the end, I'm very happy with this choice.
Yeah, Tim's a pretty smart guy.
He's a very smart guy, and he's a Strat.
Darn good.
And he's a Strat fanatic. If you've ever been to his place, he's Strats and Les Pauls. Like he's got the craziest collection, and he's a very bad influence on me.
Yeah, and he also plays really well as well.
Oh, I don't think you could make good pickups, really, like good pickups if you didn't play. He's a player first and foremost, and I think that's what informs everything that he does.
This is like I said, this is the one that will make people raise their eyebrows a little bit, but the two behind you are a little bit more, well, they're juggernautic.
Yeah. These are closer to home. So here I can demonstrate those real quick. Sorry if there's a little noise there, but let's see.
So you've got a 6 and a 7, obviously.
Yeah, so we've got a 6 and a 7, and these are based off of the Pro Series models. The real only difference is the bridge, which is an Evertune bridge.
Yeah.
And I have to say, was partially inspired by a trip I took to you guys, where I saw that like someone was in your shop was installing that for a customer,
right,
on one of my guitars. I'm like, maybe I should just be doing that. Well, the truth is that I've started to use Evertune bridges more, both in the studio and live. I've been using them for a while, but I feel like they've improved their product to where now I can use it reliably, and I like the way it sounds. I don't feel like it's like a tone tax on the guitar as much anymore. And what you get out of an Evertune, especially in the studio, is just, it saves all the time in the world. It probably cuts your studio time down in half. And, God, you know this as well as anyone else. You spend half your time in the studio just tuning.
Yes.
So if you eliminate that, there's so much hatred that leaves the process, right? Because nobody likes tuning, but you're just constantly like, oh, let's do that take again. That was out of tune. It's out of tune. So yeah, in the studio, it's like, it's a no-brainer. I've started using it for certain songs live, for a number of reasons, but mainly because you can get away with some tunings and string gauges that sound really good, and you can still pick really hard, and the guitar sorts it out for you, which is kind of wonderful. So you can kind of get away with stuff that really would be difficult otherwise.
Right. Yeah, because I noticed, like, you know, looking at the strings, like the way they're strung from the factory, it's 9 through 42 on the 6 and 9 through 54, I believe, on the 7, which is not that heavy.
No, we've set up the Pro Series for standard tuning because it's sort of supposed to cast a wider net. Not everybody's gonna play my tuning. I have mine set up with the heavier strings. The Horizon Devices progressive tension 10 to 58 set on this.
Okay.
Which is you know, that's my brand, that's my set, my preferred set, and it works very well for this tuning. But with that 58, we're also live tuning down to G for Reptile, and it works phenomenally. That's the thing with an Evertune guitar, I can bash into it, whatever, it works great, perfectly in tune. So yeah, those are the big changes are just the Evertune bridge and these new colors we've introduced. So this is I forget what we're officially calling it, but it's chalk
gray, right? Chalk
gray.
Gray?
It's like satin chalk gray. It's supposed to be chalk, like Porsche chalk, or it's like a lot of my colors. Yeah, a lot of my colors are influenced by cars. Normally that would be gloss. I wanted to do two colors I'd say are sort of crowd pleasers, and you know, white's an easy way to go, but I just didn't want to do white, but I wanted to do something that was like white with character.
Yep.
So I feel like chalk, this has a lot of character. It's like slightly gray, and the satin looks really sleek. I just think it fits the guitar very well. And then the main thing you're getting out of this is just a pre-installed Evertune bridge. The rest of the specs are exactly the same.
You've still got the MM1 pickups, which sound really good. You've got the.
I actually think they sound great. Yeah, like there's I haven't swapped them out in this, you know, and I've been using this guitar.
Well, I hope you would, being as they're custom voiced and they say MM. If you didn't like them, there would be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be entirely honest with you. I do like the bare knuckles better, and I have swapped them out in a lot of guitars, but these are very competitive pickups still, like, and the fact that they come in these and that they're effectively free, I think a lot of people are like, oh, should I swap them out for the bare knuckles? And I'm like, you can, absolutely, and the guitar will sound better, but it's not like it sounds bad with these. This is still a very versatile pickup set, and again, I challenge anyone to you know, find a sound they couldn't get with the 5-way switch, because we got the split inner coils, the second position, split outer coils on the fourth position, so you can get those Strat-like kind of split sounds.
And you've also got have you still got the push-pull on the tone?
Yeah, and that's just for the tone control, so that it's out of the circuit, gets a little brighter with it off. But if you want it on and you want to activate, you just pull it up. You can sort of set it to whatever position you want. So the circuitry is exactly the same as the USA model.
Best of both worlds, pun intended.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I don't like tone circuits. But then sometimes I do. So this way I can have it without the tone tax.
Well, I'm stealing that, tone tax. But I will always credit you, tone tax, and the chug. What was it? What were we talking about? The
chug sink. Chug sink. The metal chug sink. Yeah.
Yeah. And for people watching this going, what the hell are they talking about? We normally go clap to sing. He did some chugs for an extra.
I did some chugs, because come on, that's what matters, right?
Now, and talking of chugging, so what is that fine guitar your 7-string tuned to right now? How low are you?
Okay, so the 7. Let me grab that real quick. So the 7 here. Is tuned to drop A flat. So that's drop C on that last one. Sometimes we drop that low string to an A or a G for one song. The 7 generally just stays in drop A flat. Gotcha. So you tune the whole guitar down a half step, and then you drop the low string.
What I'd love to do at this point, my friend, if you wouldn't mind, you now have the 7-string in your hands. You're tuned to drop Z effectively. Let's see you beat the holy heck out of those strings and it not go out of tune thanks to that bridge.
This is one of the tests I like to do, is the fact I pick very hard, and obviously when you're picking very hard on a low string, in a low tuning, it'll go sharp and then settle down. Yeah. But with the Evertune, you can go and it'll be just flat. Right? Yeah. But what I do is, so actually you use the tuners on an Evertune to set where it is. You actually tune the guitar down here. It takes a little getting used to, but once you understand it, it makes a lot of sense. And actually here, you'll see nothing's happening, and then eventually, now it's out of the sort of Evertune area, right? On the sharp side. So what I do is I go just to where it starts to go sharp, and then I tune it back down. And then what this allows me to do is pick really hard. But if I bend, I can still bend. So I can, again, yeah.
It's almost that fine line between clever and stupid, and you're on the clever side.
I'm trying. As I said, I'm a best of both worlds kind of guy. So like this way you could get the effect of the Evertune where, you know, when you're picking, you don't have to worry about like picking too hard or palm muting too hard. Your guitar will be perfectly in tune. But I could still... So that's what I like about this guitar, and that's what I'm saying. You can get away with some stuff that you can't really do that live. I actually started to roll back a little bit on like my picking in certain spots because my guitar would just be like almost a half step sharp sometimes because I'd be picking so hard. And sometimes tuning, I actually, for the low string, I was tuning it a little flat because I was accounting for the fact that I needed to tune to the... Yeah, exactly. So with this, you can actually just set it perfectly. And this is also why when you're recording, it makes your life very easy because you don't have to worry. You could just kind of go for it and it'll be in tune. And it'll stay in tune as well. Yeah, no matter what you give it.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I recently did a session and they were tuned to B, and no matter how heavy I went, when I started, I dig in pretty hard, not as hard as you, but I dig in pretty hard. That initial sharpness was driving everyone insane. I was doing the same as you, tuning slightly flat, but then you're dancing that dance of...
Right. It's a dance and it sucks.
For too long where it's going to go back to...
Right. Anything where you've got to... Yeah, anything where like there'd be a long ring out, I'd actually have to tune back up and strike it relatively soft. It's just a thing. And anyone who records knows what I'm talking about. People who don't know what I'm talking about, you're very lucky you don't have to record. But then also that comes into play live because like...
big time.
Because we have 3 guitars in the band, so we're constantly tuning. If one guitar is out, it's just going to ruin everything. So... I've even converted the other guys into Evertune stuff for live. Not for every song necessarily, but there's certain songs where we get like a massive benefit from the Evertune. I will admit it does change the feel a little bit and it does change the tone a little bit, but there's just certain songs where it's just the benefits of the Evertune are just absolutely worth it over everything else. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with recording. Like, yes, soloed you might hear a difference. In the mix you won't. You know?
Right. Like you say that the pros far outweigh the cons. I mean,
absolutely.
Think what you've just done is an amazing demonstration. Someone at Evertune should send you a check right now.
Well, I'm just happy to work with them because here's the thing, and this is why I'm offering these models. Like, this is in addition to the regular HC6 and HC7.
This is replacing nothing. It's just
this is replacing nothing. It's an addition because I still like the hardtail bridges, and I still think the hardtail bridges sound better and feel a little bit better and are better to jam on. And I think both, when I'm in the studio, I'm using both. Gotcha. But there are moments where the Evertune is an absolute lifesaver. And now it's been 2-3 records I've been recording with them. And like, I can't imagine recording a record without having at least, one variant with an Evertune so that I have it when I need it, And we end up using it a lot more than we plan on using it because it's just like, oh man, it just works. Let's just keep going.
Yeah. There's nothing more frustrating than playing it perfectly, but just hitting that one chord too hard or not hard enough.
Right.
And everything before and after doesn't matter because it's out.
Oh man, it's my pain. The pain, and it's so that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's great to have one of these in your arsenal.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect it to necessarily. Some people have converted all the way. I wouldn't expect it to do that for everybody. But I think if you have it as an option, not only will you get use out of it, but you might surprise yourself with how much you use it, especially in the studio.
Now, and what turned you on to Evertune? Was it a player, or did you just hear about them? What was your conduit?
A good friend of mine, and actually the band's second singer, Casey Sable, was the one who turned me on to it. And Casey's a pretty out there character. He's a cartoon character of a human being. So when he came to me and he was like, "Hey man, have you seen that bridge that keeps your guitar in tune forever?" I was like, "All right, Casey, shut up." I was like, what clickbait did he hit? I was like, there's no such thing. And then he showed me and I was like, oh my God. Like, I saw the demo, but I was like, I can't wait to get my hands on this and just rip it apart. But then eventually they got in touch with me, I think through my YouTube channel. They sent me a demo guitar and I was like, wow, like this really works. And I'm going to be entirely honest. Like, there were quite a few downsides. Like I really thought like that bridge had a bit of tone tax, you know, like it was really kind of messy. It was messing with the top end, the low end a little bit, and it was messing with the feel. And I gave them that feedback. I was very honest with them,
right.
And they just worked on it and improved it, and they've been working on it and improving it, and I love that. I love it like when I can give like a company very honest feedback and they don't get mad. They're like, okay, well, this is very useful stuff, and then they fix it, you know. So like the Evertune bridges have come a really long way, and to the point where like now I'm putting them on my guitar and I think they sound great, you know.
What a concept. Constructive criticism taken and acted upon. Never catch on. Never catch on. Wow, that's really, really impressive. I'm blown away by, you know, that's the, you know, you can see it in, like seeing it in real time in front of me. It's like, because you were trying to kill that guitar.
But you know, first of all, my pickups, like I like passive pickups and dynamic pickups. The Juggernaut's even more dynamic than the Ragnarok, so they really reward picking hard. And I've even switched to these like Dunlop Flow. Actually, I have some signature picks coming out soon with them. I probably shouldn't mention that, but whatever.
Well, you just did. I was going to ask you about picking because picking's a huge part of your technique, and I was
right. Well, something's got to give with this, so it can't be like the string. It really has to be the pick. So I use these rather flexible picks. They're these Flow. I think this is a 60, and people are always surprised with how flimsy my picks are. But it's really because when I used to use heavier picks, I would snap low strings. You know, something. It's physics, so something's got to give at the end of the day, and really it should be the pick. And I think it also sounds better because you're getting this sort of like scraping of the pick sound against it instead of these two sort of hard objects fighting. I think for leads and whatever, I can use like a thicker gauge. And in the studio, I can use a thicker gauge because I have more control. Live, I have adrenaline, and I don't even realize how hard I'm going.
Right.
So I'm actually coming out with two gauges, one heavier gauge and one lighter gauge. One that's my actual live gauge and one that's my actual studio gauge, which is a little bit heavier.
What is the difference in terms of gauge? You said that was 60, I believe?
It's a 73, I believe, for the studio one. It's just a little bit more taut, and it's a material the material actually makes it a little bit more taut as well. And it just, I can get away with it in the studio because, you know, I don't have adrenaline rushing through my system. But live, I feel like everything is just 1 degree more intense because I don't feel how hard I'm picking. Gotcha. And ever since I've used these like these more flexible picks, I found that my guitars, non-Evertune guitars, would stay in tune better live, and I never broke a string. So it was definitely me using the wrong pick before, and this is the right one.
And talking of picks, sorry, we started on guitars, now we're on picks, which is good. It's a rabbit hole I like going down. Your technique, you're a very percussive, accurate, precise picker. How much is it purely pick, or are you hitting with pick and fingers, which I know people like Hetfield do when they get that really aggressive sound? Are you
I try not
to.
I'm not trying to because, but it happens live, and I've got like pretty big calluses on my index finger from it. Usually the first couple of shows of a tour, especially if we haven't toured in a while, I'll be bleeding on like these two fingers just from striking that's adrenaline. In the studio, no, it's much more controlled. I'm very, very I hate using this word, picky about where I place like not only the angle right, but the angle of the pick changes and the placement of my hand relative to the bridge will change a lot. So like I might even do that mid riff or whatever. Like just change. If I want it really percussive, go closer to the neck. Yeah. But if I want it to bloom and ring out more. Same chord, but just the hand placement is everything.
It's almost like it's a form of tone control with your picking hand. That's a good way of thinking about it. And it's we're talking about like maybe 0.5 millimeter. So it's like very small tolerances. But yeah, it's all about tiny things, and like the pick angle and all that stuff will change all of that stuff as well. So, and I'm playing with in-ears live, or in the studio I have very good monitors, so you can hear all this stuff. Right. It's probably stuff that doesn't translate in any mix. But whatever, you know, I need to be happy. Well, I think it's like if you're happy with what's coming out, it's a symbiotic relationship, isn't it? Like
absolutely.
The more you dig it, the better you play.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Dig in, what an awful analogy, but yeah.
We're just coming up with phrases today, man.
This is great. tone tax. I'm picky about my picking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. What I'd love to do is, if you wouldn't mind, I mean, these are usual suspects. They sound great. I think the Evertune is a wonderful. You've just explained it really, really well. But I'd love for you, if you wouldn't mind giving us a play out on the guitar that will shock people, because
yeah. So I mean, this is and I've got some tones here, so we could run through the gamut here, because
please, that's why I wanted to go back to that one,
because like, again, this guitar looks like this, but right, so you can do the heavy stuff, and then let's see. I've got.
That was almost, you didn't expect that. It's kind of like a small guy coming in and sounding like Rob Halford.
So this would be the bridge pickup on a clean sound. So that's a fourth position there. And actually, this clean sound's more supposed to be ambient rather than like spank. But let's see if I've got another patch that. So I just made some patches real quick. Lead patch. I apologize for the really terrible playing, but this is the split, I guess the second position. Then we've got like the neck position, right? The neck single coil. And fourth position as well.
Like I say,
Anyways.
Tim's Trilogy Sweet pickups in that guitar sound phenomenal.
Yeah, and it really matches up well, you know?
Yeah.
Truthfully, don't use the middle by itself that much. But I use it all the time because it's getting used in the fourth and second position.
Right,
so
yeah.
that's where you want like two pickups, or you need all three pickups to really work well together, because it's borrowing from all of them. Let's
It's a
see.
nice balance, you're right. They complement each other beautifully in terms of level as well.
So it's just super versatile, and that's really important to me. Like with Periphery, we're always sort of using a bit of everything,
Right.
from like super heavy stuff to very clean or like pushed or like ambient stuff and everything in between.
Gotcha. So to close, I've got to, first and foremost, congratulations. 3 really, really cool and very different guitars that fit nicely within your arsenal. So as your family, and are you in competition with Slash to have the most signature series models out there ever?
You know, it's more like I love guitars. I have way too many guitars, and I love all sorts of guitars. So I have to thank Jackson for working with me. I think because the models have done well, they're like, okay, well, you know, now when I suggest crazy stuff, they're a little bit more open to hearing it. Right. At first, they were like, slow your roll. Let's just see how these ones do, you know? But now I can come to them with wilder ideas. This was actually based off of a custom shop guitar that they made me, and that we actually did like 20 of those.
Gotcha.
So those are master built by Red Dave. They're very expensive guitars. There's only 20 of them. I'm not sure if you guys are getting them or not. Whoever managed to order one at the last NAMM, but that's a phenomenal guitar. Obviously, it's unobtainium, so like this is the production version of that, and I was using
version,
that. Yeah, this is the obtainium. There we go. Man, we are killing it today.
Yeah, I know.
And,
well, at least you are.
This is why I love talking to you, man. But like, this is like, this is the version that should be readily available. It makes sense for mass production. You know, there's a lot of stuff that you could do, as you know, for custom shop that doesn't really make sense if you're trying to build, you know, hundreds or more guitars a year, you know? So,
exactly.
So that's this version. I think they've, you know, and when you look at a production model, you just want it to be really solid, well put together. You want the fit and finish to be great. And I think the Japanese have done an absolutely phenomenal job with this guitar. So I've been using this to record since I got this. This is the prototype to approve, and it's already like one of my favorite guitars in my collection.
I think that in itself speaks volumes, to be honest with you. The fact that they send you a guitar to approve and you end up using it in the recording studio straight away.
Yeah. I actually thought maybe we'd go back a few rounds, but I was like, yo, this is perfect. And I was recording Haunted Shores at the time, which is my tech death black metal project with Mark Holcomb, and this is the guitar we used. So like that's you know, it's kind of, it worked perfectly. He was in love with it. Like, you know, it's got mojo, man, and I really hope that people who try it out enjoy it as much as I do.
If you don't mind, I'm going to ask you a final closing question.
Yeah, absolutely.
The question would be, there will be a lot of people watching this who would love to walk in some, if not all, of your footsteps, because it's 2021 now, and with everything going on, you've managed to successfully make a living and a name out of music. What would your suggestions be to anyone who'd like to follow in some or all of your footsteps? Do you have any words of advice?
Yeah, no one ever likes hearing this advice. It always gets me in trouble, but whatever. It's the right thing to do. It's very tough to make a living in music. Don't count on it as your only source of income. And especially this last year, should have shown everybody that, you know, I've been okay because I have several sources of income. And, you know, I've done things that I'm passionate about. Not all of them have worked, but I'm always just chasing things that I actually enjoy. It's never really chasing the money. And I find that if you really are passionate about something and you've got, you know, some sort of viable business model, the money tends to follow. And it's something that you can keep up and really sort of scale into as well, because you still care about it. It's still something you're passionate about. It's not just a paycheck at the end of the day. So my advice is to figure out what those things would be for you very early on. Just pretend like your band is literally going to never make any money. If I'm wrong, then great. You just have more money and more security. I hope I'm wrong. But if I'm right, you'll be very glad that you prepared, and that, you know, whether it's giving lessons or, you know, whatever. I don't know what it would be. For everyone, it'll be different. That's why following in my footsteps exactly might not be the best thing, because you may not be passionate about the things that I'm passionate about. But find what that is as well, and just enjoy music for what it is. Like, don't forget that you're getting into it because you like it. And the money can sometimes color that vision a little bit, and I just find that that's always a bad thing. And I've kind of turned Periphery back into the passion project it always was, and it's the happiest I've ever been, probably since I first started working on it. So, you know, do music for the right reasons. If you get money from it, great, but just diversify your income as much as possible.
You know, that's brilliant advice, and I think the biggest takeaway is, you know, we're on this planet one time. Enjoy your music.
Yeah.
Because don't destroy
Really-
something that's sacred.
No, and I can go into a little bit of another rant here, but I was just telling someone about this the other day, which is, there's always this fine line between like sort of, being creative and, doing something for commercial success. My take on this is choose one. I don't think there's anything wrong with making music for commercial success, but I think you'll run into this problem. There's sort of a bell curve of success where you're like in the middle, where you're sort of compromising. You're sort of true to your art, but you're compromising a little bit. And I'm like, that's where there's nothing. There's nothing there. If you're going to go for commercial success, go for it with everything you've got. Be strategic. Don't make the music something that you necessarily care about. Make it what will be successful, right? Because sort of watering it down with the things you want may actually make it less successful. And in a similar way, if you're writing music, this is what I do, where I just write it for myself, and I'm worried at all about the money or success or whatever, I'm probably not going to see any of that money and success, and then I'll end up with a watered down product that I don't feel as good about. So even if no one listens to, like, I did an electronic project with Jake, which no one listened to, but I'm so proud of it. And it's like, I don't care that no one listened to it, because I'm really happy, and that experience was wonderful. And if we'd kind of like shaped it to be something it wasn't supposed to be, it still wouldn't have been successful probably, and I'd be like, oh man, and I don't even get to feel that good about it. So I think pick a side. That's my advice with that. I don't think either side is wrong. I don't think it's wrong to do it in the middle. I just think you'll probably be the most disappointed in the middle. At least on either side, either extreme, you've got something that you can grasp onto if it doesn't work out,
Well said, sir. Well said. And all I'm going to say now is thank you so much for taking the time. Congratulations on those 3 damn fine axes.
Thank you, man. And I'm so stoked to put these out.
And yeah, I'm going to try and get my hands on one of those ASAP.
Dude, you would love this guitar, by the way. I think if you should I hope you can get your hands on one of these, because I think you in particular, you would love it.
So here's hoping that 2021, next time I see you, it's face to face and we don't have to wear masks, and
knock on wood.
And you'll be out there with Periphery or whatever project you're touring with, and I can see you in your natural habitat doing what you love on a stage somewhere.
Yeah, it'll be Periphery. We don't know when that's happening, but as soon as touring starts happening again, I think we're all itching to get out there and play. So knock on wood, man.
Great. Well, once again, thanks for taking the time, my friends. Stay safe, and great guitars. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Thanks for talking to me.
Take care.